In this video, I'm going to be teaching you how to use the EMAX Wyvern Link OpenIPC system. So OpenIPC is an open source alternative to affordable HD FPV. It's one of the newest technologies that's really starting to change the game in the FPV world. And being open source, it's opening up a whole new generation of HD FPV where people are going to be able to customize cameras, VTXs, RXs, and all these different things, just like analog FPV, without being locked down to a specific system such as DJI or HD0 or any of these other systems. And what you're watching right now is a 720p, 120 FPS DVR recording of a flight using this system with our Wyvern link. And of course, you can also update it to 1080p at 90 frames per second. You can pretty much set it to fly however you want. So what we have right here are our two RXs. We have an RX that is 2 watt and 100 milliwatt. When it comes to RXs, that's basically the power consumption and how well they're able to process the signal. So on a 2 watt RX, you are going to be getting more range, essentially, and higher quality video. Also, you can see on the side here, we have different ports with USB-C support. You can use an XT30 connector, or you can use a USB-C to power your device. We also have these SMA connectors, so you can change different antennas for whatever setup you prefer. And then here we have our VTXs. This is our 800 milliwatt VTX that does come in 2 separate boards, where one is the control board for the camera and the other is the VTX. Being 800 milliwatt, this is more for your long range enthusiast or people just looking for the best possible signal they can get. And then attached to it, I do currently have the small camera attached to it, though we do have a larger sensor one that actually does come with this setup. And here you can see I have the large camera right here actually connected to my 100 milliwatt VTX. That's actually an all-in-one board, unlike the 800 milliwatt. And the larger camera fits better in my Baby Hawk HD, as you can see. Whereas I do have a smaller camera with the 100 milliwatt VTX in my Tiny Hawk Freestyle. Now, this is going to be your adapter that you can connect to the VTXs in order to change settings. There's an Ethernet port, there's a USB-C port, and this is the other dongle for the 100 milliwatt VTX. So what we're going to do first in order to start running this system is we're going to go ahead and power on our RX. I'm going to use the 2 watt RX for the example here. So we're just going to go ahead and plug in the USB-C, and you want to wait a little bit for it to boot on. Do not just connect it straight to the phone. Let it boot on. It takes about like 15, 20 seconds to boot. Also, optionally, you can use the XT30 port and just plug in a 2S to 6S LiPo, and that will also work just as well. Next, you want to make sure you have an OTG cable. Do not use a regular USB-C cable. It needs to be an OTG cable to USB 3, and then another cable that's USB 3 to USB-C. Now we're going to pull out our Android phone, and what you're going to do is navigate to the OpenIPC GitHub. You're going to go down over here, and you want to download their Pixel Pilot app. And you want to download the APK and go ahead and install that on your Android phone. Once it's installed, you're going to go ahead and open it up. And now that your RX is booted up, you're going to go ahead and plug in on the OTG side to your Android phone, just like here, and then you're going to plug in the USB cable side into the RX. So on the 2 watt, it's just going to plug right here on the side right there. Now there's going to be a little pop-up. You say OK to give it access to the USB device. And you're going to want to make sure that you are on channel 132. All of our VTXs out of factory are going to be set on 132. That's going to be our default channel. So just make sure you're on that channel so that way you're able to catch the video signal. Now I'm going to go ahead, grab my Tiny Hawk here, and I'm going to go ahead and power it up. Just hit OK again, and you're going to wait a little bit. It does take maybe like 10 seconds-ish to boot up the VTX. So just go ahead and give it a little bit. This is real time, so you have an idea of how long it takes, but it's not too long. It's about a fair amount. Here we go. And now we're already connected. And you can see we have a live real-time 720p feed of the OpenIPC video. So now from here, what we're going to do is if you want to adjust your settings, we're going to go to the OpenIPC GitHub. We're going to navigate over here into the repositories, go over to configurator. And here on the configurator, you can download the OpenIPC configurator. Make sure you read the instructions. And we're going to go ahead and download the files for the OpenIPC configurator. Now, whatever you do, do not launch the OpenIPC configurator. If you do that, it will break everything. What you need to do first now is download the latest version of PuTTY. And you're going to go ahead and install that. Make sure you're on the latest version right here. As you can see, if you use a previous version, it is not going to work with the configurator. So we're going to go ahead and download this program, and we're going to go ahead and install it. So after you run the installation, what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to plug the Ethernet port to the adapter. This is the way I prefer doing it. It's just a lot easier. Now, what we're going to do after this is then we're going to go ahead and power on the Tiny Hawk Freestyle. And then what you're going to do is you're going to want to launch PuTTY. And there I have my PuTTY settings, you can see. So you could use PuTTY directly just to basically command prompt right into the OpenIPC VTX and just SSH your way into it. Or you can use the configurator. And what you're going to do is just make sure you're on the same IP address right here. And then you're going to hit connect. And you're going to want to make sure you have PuTTY open when you launch this configurator. Otherwise, sometimes it's going to be buggy and it might not work. From here, you're just going to go ahead, press any key to continue. And right there, it loads all the settings on your VTX. So you know exactly what you have. From here, you can start playing around, mess with all your different frame rates and resolutions. You can mess around with things like OSD, your channel settings, all those things now are completely at your fingertips with the configurator. So if you have a preferred, if you do have a preferred channel, this is probably going to be one of the first things you do. And if you want to change it to 1080 or keep it at 720, by default, we do ship with 720p because it does reduce latency to a very good flyable amount right now in its current iteration. And then what you're going to go ahead and do is just go ahead and load all the settings onto the VTX board. You hit OK. You're going to follow the directions here. You're going to basically have to press enter a few times. So we're going to go ahead, enter. We're going to do enter again and enter one more time. And it just went ahead and flashed all the settings that you just did on your configurator right onto the VTX. If you have any questions with your Wyvern Link system, make sure you open a support ticket on emax-usa.com or emaxmodel.com. And go ahead and like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.